Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healy. Today we're going to be taking a look at this little fellow right here, Vaalbara. Vaalbara is by Studio H, and it is a neat little set collection card game that plays really quickly. Let's get down to the table so I can show you how it works. So here I have a 3-player version of the game set up for you, and it's very simple to set up. Basically, each of the cards in the deck have this 2+, 3+, or 4+ on them. So in a 3-player game, you're simply going to take the 4+ cards out of there. In a 2-player game, you only use the 2-player cards, and so forth and so on. The land deck is really easy to set up. You'll divide each of the different point counters into their own piles or trays if you have them. And then you're also going to give each player their own deck of villager cards, I guess you could call it. And then they're going to shuffle those up and deal a starting hand of 5 cards. And then everybody is going to take a look at those cards. And what these cards have on them are basically up at the top, they have a number and then the name of the kind of villager that this is. And then they'll have a special ability at the bottom. The number is basically what's going to denote when this character, or when the player that owns this character or plays this character, is going to be able to carry out this special ability and then choose which one of the land cards on the first row they'll be able to add to their tableau. Each of the different land cards have their own scoring ability, and they also have their own frequency within the deck as well. And that's all explained on this side of the player aid card. On the other side of the player aid card, you have all of the villagers that are listed here. There's 12 different cards in the deck. Each deck has the same villagers in it, but there's a brief description of what each of the different powers do that are listed on the villager card. Just to give you an idea, each of the different lands are going to score slightly differently than another. So whenever you take, for example, a village card, it's going to give you 2 points for every unique land card that you already have in your tableau. So if this is the first card that you'll take, it's the only unique land that's in your tableau, so you'll get $2 for it. But if you have 3 lands in your tableau and they're each unique, this is going to give you 6 points whenever you take it. The meadows here are going to give you 1 point for every meadow that's in your tableau and your neighbor's tableau. And that's how many points you'll get it. So if you each have 1 meadow in your tableau, when you take this card, it'll give you 3 points. The mountains are probably the most unique scoring mechanism in that they're going to give you 10 points if it is the second mountain that you've added to your tableau. The first one doesn't get you any points. Conversely, it'll give you 20 points if it's the 4th mountain that you've added to your tableau. So the first and the third mountains that you add to your tableau won't give you any points, but the second will give you 10 and the 4th will give you 20. Generally speaking, the pastures over here will give you 2 points for every pasture that's already in your tableau. So the first one will get you 2 points, the second one will get you 4 points, the third, 6, and so forth and so on. Forests just simply have a number of points that they have listed down here at the bottom of the card that they will give you whenever that card is added to your tableau. So that just gives you a general idea of how these different lands will score you points during the course of the game. The game will end when each player has exactly 9 land cards in front of them. So out of the 12 cards that you have in your deck, you're only going to be using 9 of them all together. Some of the cards will have the ability to put a card back into your deck after you've already used it once. So it's possible that you'll only use 8 of the 12 different cards that are there. So the game will run over the course of 9 rounds, as I just said. Each round is going to be split up into 3 different phases. There is the assignment phase, the resolution phase, and then an end of round where you basically get ready for the next round to begin. In the assignment phase, each player is going to take one of their cards and play it face down in front of them so that that will be the card they're playing this round. Once everyone has chosen a card, they are all flipped over simultaneously, and the numbers are compared to see which person goes first. So over here, the orange player played the falconer, and which is a 6, so they'll be going first. The tracker will follow as a 7, and then the pioneer will be last this round with an 11. So the first thing we do, that's the assignment phase. Now we go to the resolution phase, where we look at what the special ability of the falconer is. And this one says, steal 2 from the player who played before you this round. Well, since the orange player is the first player, that ability actually doesn't happen. So all they will be able to do here is choose which one of these they're going to start with. They'll go ahead and take the forest and add it to their tableau, and then they'll take their 3 points that the forest gives them. Then the tracker is going to go, and the tracker's ability says swap a land from the first or second land row with the top card from the land deck. So he can look at the first or second row here. This is always the first, the one that's furthest away from the land deck. And he can swap one of these cards with the top card of the land deck, which basically is going to mean that whichever card he chooses is going to go on top here, and it means it's going to come out when we set up for the next round. So let's say that he chooses the mountain, and it's going to swap with this one. Not a very good choice there, but that's the way it goes. He will now be able to choose one of these two. He'll take this village, add it to his tableau, and that gives him 2 points because it's the only unique land that he has in his tableau. And then finally, the pioneer will go, and the pioneer says that he will swap a land from your realm with the bottom card from the land deck to gain this reward for this land. Well, this isn't a good opportunity to play that because he doesn't have a land to swap from here. So let's just say, though, that he had a pasture while he was going to do that. So he would swap that with the bottom card of the deck. And so he's going to put that there, and he will actually score those points right now, which means that he'll get 1 coin. And then he also gets to pick a land out here, so he'll take this and add that as well. And that scores him 4 points. So he'll put that 1 coin in and just grab a 5. And that's the end of that round. Then, end of round happens where all of these cards will go into a discard pile that has to be kept open so that everybody can see what you've already played. You'll draw a new card from the deck to go up to 5. And then the row that is here will become the active row by moving down. And a new row of land cards are added. And at that point, you're ready to begin a new round. Everybody will look in their hands, choose a new card face down, and then flip them over simultaneously once everybody has chosen. And you continue playing this way until all players have 9 land cards in their tableaus. At that point, you will also score points, whoever has the most points at the winner. There is one caveat that if you are able to get 5 different land types in your tableau, then you'll score an additional 5 points. If you're able to get all 6 land types in your tableau, then you'll score an additional 10 points at the end of the game. But whoever has the most points is the winner. So that's about that for Vaalbara. This is not a difficult game at all to play, but it is an interesting game with a lot of interesting choices that you have to make. Generally speaking, you're going to be spending most of your time trying to guess what villagers your opponents are going to be playing and when, so that you can choose which of your villagers to play in order to maximize their abilities. There's a lot of different kinds. Well, there's 12 different kinds of abilities that are in there. Some of them will give you double your reward for the land card that you take that turn. Some will force you to give 2 points to one of your opponents. But you get to go really early. I believe it's the Bard that does that one. And so it's things like that. They're the choices that you're going to have to be making throughout the course of the game. And those choices are interesting in that you're trying to second guess what other people are doing at the same time as choose what you want to do in that round. So there's a really neat tension that's there. Hopefully you get the idea and how that kind of works out over the course of the game. So with all that having been said, I'll go into some of the pros that I have for the game, but I'm going to start with the one that really kind of initially pulled me into the game to begin with, and that is the artwork. The artwork is super well done, and I mean that when I say it. And the reason I say it that way is because every single time I've played this game, I've found myself just looking at the artwork. It's not that I haven't seen it before. It's not that I haven't noticed it before. I simply enjoy it every single time. And sometimes artwork, even if it's really good, kind of melts into the background and the mechanisms come out and you focus on those and all of that kind of stuff. But I really haven't found myself doing that with this game. The mechanisms kind of become intuitive, and the artwork just really takes center stage. And it's such that the artwork flows in between the aesthetic purpose that it has, but it also lends to the mechanical purpose that it has as well, and that is to show the different lands and all of that kind of stuff. I really did enjoy the artwork, and I know that seems like it's going to be somewhat of a dead horse maybe, because I know that artwork can be subjective, but this one is very well done. Each of the different characters in your cards, your deck are different. Now that there's only 12 in each deck, and each deck uses the same 12 images, don't get me wrong, but they're each done very well. My second pro I kind of hinted at during my description of the artwork, and that was that the mechanisms kind of melt away, and that kind of plays into the pro that I have for the mechanisms. You're not doing something that is incredibly taxing on your brain. The mechanisms that are involved in this game are not at all overbearing or overwhelming. They are simple, they are easy to teach, and I would say that they are fairly common even to those of us who might not play games as much as some of the rest of us. So you're choosing what order you're going to go in. You're choosing a special ability that will allow you to do something, and then you're going to be choosing a land card. 3 seemingly very non-threatening kinds of decisions, but very common. And that's what I like about it. You're simply choosing... The game's mechanisms basically allow you to enjoy not just the game, but also the interaction with other people around the table that are playing the game with you. And I like it when games allow you to do that. Some games are so heavy, maybe is not the right word, but some games are so complex that you really have to focus on what you're doing, and you lose some of that interaction around the table. I don't mind that. I don't mind games that make you kind of focus on them. But I don't like it when you have to do that and sacrifice the interaction around the table. This game allows you to have both and enjoy both at the same time. So I really think that the simplicity of the game here is what really helps it to shine in that right. My third pro for the game is going to be that there are significant choices that have to be made. And I say that right after talking about how simple the mechanisms were, because that might be a little bit of a deceptive thing to just kind of throw out there that it's a simple game with simple mechanisms. There are a lot of substantial choices that you have to make during the course of the game, but they're choices that you can make with logic. And that's one of the things that I like about it. You can... since you have to keep the cards out that you've played throughout the course of the game, people can see what you've already played, and they have a better idea as the game goes on what cards you might be playing, what number card you might be playing, what special ability you might be playing. And those are all things that I like having that kind of information. You don't have all the information that's out there, so it's not one of those kinds of games, but you do have a good amount of information, and you can kind of see what people are doing, and so it helps you decide what's going to be the best thing for me to do on my turn based on XYZ that I know Tom, Joe, and Harry are going to want to play on their turn. So I like games that do that, but it's not so deep of a process that it becomes overwhelming or overbearing. So that's why I like the fact that there are simple mechanisms, but there are significant, substantial choices that have to be made during the course of the game as well. So all in all, I'll give my rating for Vaalbara, and that's going to be 2 thumbs up. And I do mean that specifically because this is a lighter, fair game, and I think that most people would do well to have a game like this in their library or in their collection. It's not going to hit very hard on your pocketbook. I did purchase this copy. It's small to where you'll be able to fit it into your collection pretty easily as well. And this is the kind of game that you can bring out in almost any kind of circumstance. It doesn't take a whole lot of table space. The mechanisms are simple, easy to teach, quick to teach as well. So I really do think that everyone would do well to have a great looking game like this with simple mechanisms, with a very versatile kind of group that it will fit into in their collection. So that's why I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. Thanks so much for joining me. I certainly appreciate it. We're going to get on out of here, but we'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.